welcome to our latest UK album review, where we're detailing the albums and artists that reached #1 in the UK during 1975. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified of new content. Thanks. Before we dive into the #1s, here's a quick look at the 8 albums that just missed out and peaked at #2 during 1975.
Someone save my life tonight, sugar bear.
Sweet the rain's new fall sun.
Now, let's take a look at the #1s. First up for 1975, it's Elton John with his Greatest Hits, which was his first compilation album. Greatest Hits was Elton John's 9th UK charting album and his 4th #1 in a row, following Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and Caribou. The compilation contains 10 tracks, and it includes the UK top 5 hits: Your Song, Daniel, Rocket Man, and Crocodile Rock.
Tell everybody, this is your song. Oh, I miss Daniel. I'm a rocket man, rocket man. I ever got was doing a thing called the Crocodile Rock.
Greatest Hits first charted at #1 on the 17th of November 1974, and it stayed at the top for 11 weeks. To date, the album has spent a total of 84 weeks on the chart. Elton John charted with 2 further albums in 1975. Captain Fantastic and The Brown Dirt Cowboy peaked at #2 in June, before Rock of the Westies reached #5 in November. Engelbert Humperdinck, who was born Arnold George Dorsey in British India, replaced Elton John at #1 with his Greatest Hits. This was the 9th of Engelbert Humperdinck's 20 UK top 75 charting albums, and it was his sole album to reach the top of the chart. His Greatest Hits contained 12 tracks, including the UK #1 hits Release Me and The Last Waltz, and the #2s There Goes My Everything and A Man Without Love. His Greatest Hits first charted at #23 on the 15th of December 1974, and it reached the top of the chart on the 2nd of February 1975. It spent 3 weeks at #1 and 34 weeks on the chart in total. Engelbert Humperdinck didn't register again on the UK album chart until 1985, when Getting Sentimental reached #35. He also reached #35 in 1987 with the Engelbert Humperdinck Collection. After Engelbert Humperdinck, it was Status Quo with On the Level, the band's 8th studio album. On the Level was the 5th of Status Quo's 48 UK charting albums, and the 2nd of their 4 UK #1s. The album contains 10 tracks, including the #1 hit Down Down, and the live favourites, Most of the Time, and I Saw the Light. On the Level entered the chart at #1 on the 23rd of February, and it stayed there for 2 weeks. It spent 27 weeks on the chart in total. Status Quo charted again in 1975 with Down the Dust Pipe, which reached #20 in November. Then they once again reached the top spot with Blue for You in March 1976. Next up to #1, it was Led Zeppelin with Physical Graffiti, the band's 6th studio album and their first to be released under their new Swan Song record label. Physical Graffiti was Led Zeppelin's 6th UK charting album, and it was the 5th of their 8 #1s. It was a double album containing 15 tracks, and as with previous Led Zeppelin albums, no singles were released in the UK. Amongst the tracks were the well-known songs Kashmir, Sick Again, and Trampled Underfoot, which the band performed live extensively. Physical Graffiti charted at number 1 on the 9th of March, and it stayed at the top of the chart for a single week. It spent a total of 36 weeks on the chart. Led Zeppelin next charted with Presence, which reached the top of the UK album chart in April 1976. They again reached the top spot with their live soundtrack album, The Song Remains the Same, in November 1976. Tom Jones followed Led Zeppelin to the top spot with 20 Greatest Hits. The album is subtitled the 10th Anniversary Album, as it was released 10 years on from Jones's first hit single, It's Not Unusual. 20 Greatest Hits was the 17th of Tom Jones's 35 UK Top 75 charting albums, and it was the second of his 4 #1 albums, following his success with Delilah in 1968. The album contained 12 tracks, each of which charted as singles in the UK. It includes his #1 hits It's Not Unusual and Green Green Grass of Home, as well as the #2 singles Delilah and I'm Coming Home.
It's not unusual to be sad with anyone. The green, green grass of home.
The 20 Greatest Hits entered the chart at number 1 on the 16th of March, and it stayed there for 4 weeks. It spent 21 weeks on the chart in total. Tom Jones next hit the album chart with I'm Coming Home in October 1978, which peaked at number 12. He then didn't chart again until 1987, when the compilation The Greatest Hits reached number 16. The Best of the Stylistics was the next album at number 1, and it became both the biggest album of the group's career and the UK's top-selling album of 1975. This album gave the Stylistics their 4th UK charting album, and it was the first of their 2 UK #1s. The Best of the Stylistics contained 10 tracks, including the UK top 10 hits You Make Me Feel Brand New, Rockin' Roll Baby, and I'm Stone in Love with You. The Best of the Stylistics charted at number 19 on the 30th of March, and it reached number 1 2 weeks later. It spent 9 of the next 19 weeks at the top of the chart, claiming the top spot on 3 occasions, and it spent a total of 57 weeks on the chart. The Stylistics hit the album chart on 2 further occasions in 1975. Thank You Baby reached number 5 in August, and You Are Beautiful peaked at number 26 in December. The Bay City Rollers temporarily replaced the Stylistics at the top of the chart with Once Upon a Star, the Scottish band's second studio album. Once Upon a Star was the second of the Bay City Rollers' 8 UK charting albums, and it gave the band the second of their 2 #1s. The album contained 12 tracks, including the singles Bye Bye Baby and Keep On Dancing, as well as the live favorites My Teenage Heart and Rock and Roll Honeymoon.
Bye bye baby, don't make me cry. Keep on dancing and I'm prancing. Keep on dancing and you're breaking my teenage heart.
Once Upon a Star entered the chart at number 1 on the 27th of April, and it stayed at the top of the chart for 3 weeks. It spent a total of 37 weeks on the chart. The Bay City Rollers next charted with Wouldn't You Like It in December 1975, which went on to peak at number 3. Following that, their album Dedication peaked at number 4 in October 1976. After the Stylistics replaced the Bay City Rollers at the top of the chart, it was the turn of Wings with Venus and Mars, their 4th studio album and Paul McCartney's first post-Beatles album to be released worldwide by Capitol Records rather than Apple. Venus and Mars was the 4th of Wings' 14 UK Top 75 charting albums, and it was the second of their 2 #1s. following their earlier success with Band on the Run. Amongst the album's 13 tracks are the songs Letting Go and Listen to What the Man Said, both of which were released as singles. Also featured is the song Rock Show, which was released as a non-UK medley single with the title track Venus and Mars.
Feel like letting go. What the man said, he said. So oh yeah.
Venus and Mars entered the chart at number 3 on the 15th of June, and it spent 2 of the next 4 weeks at the top spot. It spent 29 weeks on the chart in total. Wings next charted with Wings at the Speed of Sound in 1976, peaking at number 2. They then reached number 8 with their live album Wings Over America in 1977. The Carpenters followed Wings to number 1 with Horizon, the duo's 6th studio album. Horizon was the 7th of the Carpenters' 25 UK charting albums, and it was their second number 1, following the singles 1969 to 1973, which was released the prior year. The album contains 10 tracks, and it includes the singles Please Mr. Postman, Only Yesterday, and Solitaire. Horizon entered the chart at number 5 on the 22nd of June, and it reached the number 1 spot the following week. It spent 5 of the next 6 weeks at the top of the chart, and 31 weeks on the chart in total. The Carpenters next charted with a kind of hush in July 1976, peaking at number 3. They then charted with Live at the Palladium in January 1977, which reached number 28. After a period where Wings, the Carpenters and the Stylistics claimed the number 1 spot, it was Rod Stewart with Atlantic Crossing, his 6th studio album, which he recorded at Muscle Shoals in Alabama. Atlantic Crossing gave Rod Stewart the 7th of his 51 UK top 75 charting singles, and it was the 5th of his 11 number 1s. Included within the album's 10 tracks were the singles Sailing, and I Don't Want to Talk About It, and the classic rock favorite, 3-Time Loser. Atlantic Crossing entered the chart at number 1 on the 24th of August, and it spent 7 of the next 8 weeks at the top of the chart. The album has spent a total of 90 weeks on the chart. Rod Stewart's next album, A Night on the Town, also hit the top spot in July 1976. Following that, he peaked at number 3 with Footloose and Fancy Free in November 1977. Pink Floyd temporarily replaced Rod Stewart at the top of the chart with Wish You Were Here, the band's 9th studio album. Wish You Were Here was the 11th of Pink Floyd's 30 UK album chart appearances, and it was the 2nd of their 7 number 1 albums, following 1970's Atom Heart Mother. Much of the album is taken up by Shine On You Crazy Diamond, a 9-part tribute to Pink Floyd co-founder Syd Barrett, who had left the band 7 years earlier. Among the other 3 tracks are the single Have a Cigar, and the title track, Wish You Were Here. Wish You Were Here entered the chart at number 3 on the 21st of September, and it reached the top spot the following week. It spent a single week at the top of the chart, and 105 weeks on the chart in total. Pink Floyd's next charting album was Animals, which entered the chart at number 2 in February 1977. Their follow-up was The Wall, which peaked at number 3 in December 1979. After Rod Stewart had replaced Pink Floyd for 2 weeks, it was Jim Reeves with 40 Golden Greats, his greatest hits album. 40 Golden Greats was the 25th of Jim Reeves's 31 UK top 75 charting albums, after his first album registered on the chart in 1964. It was also the 2nd of his 2 UK number 1s, following his success with According to My Heart in 1969. Among the 40 popular Jim Reeves tracks on the album are He'll Have to Go, Welcome to My World, and Yonder Comes a Sucker.
Your friend there with you, he'll have to go. Welcome to my world. comes a sucker and he's got my gal. She's gone.
40 Golden Greats entered the chart at number 19 on the 14th of September, and it reached number 1 on the 19th of October. It spent 3 weeks at the top of the chart and 25 weeks on the chart in total. Although Jim Reeves passed away in 1964, he charted on 6 further occasions with various compilations. The first of these, Country Gentleman, reached number 53 in 1980, and the next one, The Definitive Jim Reeves, peaked at number 9 in 1992. Next up to number 1 was Welsh comedian and singer Max Boyce with his live album, We All Had Doctor's Papers, which contains a mixture of comedic and traditional songs, and is the only comedy album to have topped the UK albums chart. We All Had Doctor's Papers was the second of Max Boyce's 7 UK charting albums, and it was his first and only UK number 1. Among the 12 tracks on the album are I Am an Entertainer and I Gave My Love a Debenture.
I am an entertainer, and I sing for charity, and I'll give you my debenture.
We All Had Doctor's Papers entered the chart at number 9 on the 26th of October, and it reached the number 1 spot 2 weeks later, staying there for a single week. The album spent a total of 17 weeks on the chart. Max Boyce next charted with The Incredible Plan in November 1976, peaking at number 9. He then reached number 50 with The Roads and the Miles in January 1978. Following Max Boyce, it was Perry Como with 40 Greatest Hits, an album which has never had an official CD release in the UK. This gave Perry Como the 8th of his 14 UK Top 75 charting albums, and it was the second of his 2 number 1s following his success with And I Love You So in 1973. Among the 40 tracks on the album are Perry Como's interpretations of Don McLean's And I Love You So, Chris Christopherson's For the Good Times, and Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly.
And you love me too, for the good time, killing me softly with her song, killing me softly.
40 Greatest Hits entered the chart at number 59 on the 19th of October. It reached the top of the chart on the 16th of November, and it spent 6 of the next 8 weeks in the top spot. The album has spent a total of 30 weeks on the chart. Perry Como next charted with the compilation For the Good Times in December 1983, which peaked at number 41. Following that, he next charted with another compilation, Gold Greatest Hits, in 2001, this time reaching number 55. The final number 1 album for 1975 was Queen's A Night at the Opera, which was named after the Marx Brothers film of the same name, and was reportedly the most expensive album ever recorded at the time of its release. A Night at the Opera was Queen's 4th UK charting album, and it was the first of their 10 number 1s. The album contained 12 tracks, including the singles Bohemian Rhapsody and You're My Best Friend, as well as favorites such as Love of My Life and I'm in Love with My Car. A Night at the Opera entered the chart at number 2 on the 7th of December, and it reached number 1 2 weeks later. It spent 4 of the next 5 weeks in the top spot, and it has spent a total of 72 weeks on the chart. Queen reached the top of the UK album chart a year later with A Day at the Races. After that, they peaked at number 4 with News of the World in November 1977. Well, that concludes our review of the UK's number 1 albums of 1975. We hope you enjoyed it, and please come back for the next countdown. Thanks for watching.